12 luxury properties, 17 suspects, $120 million, scrubbed clean through shell companies, fake businesses, and high-end real estate. And on one Tuesday morning, the FBI and Homeland Security investigations didn't knock. They kicked the door in. This is the story of one of the most sophisticated money laundering networks ever dismantled on American soil, and the federal agents who spent 3 years building the case that brought it all down. Hit that subscribe button and the bell icon so you never miss a case. Now let's get into it. The investigation didn't start with a tip. It started with a number that didn't add up. An IRS financial analyst flagged a series of wire transfers in the spring of 2021, small amounts, moving fast, cycling through multiple LLCs registered in Delaware, Wyoming, and Nevada. On paper, these were consulting firms, import-export companies, logistics providers. In reality, they were empty shells, created for one purpose only: to make dirty money look legitimate. The case was handed to the FBI's Financial Crimes Unit, and within weeks, Homeland Security Investigations joined the task force. HSI specializes in exactly this kind of cross-border financial crime, and what they found suggested the money wasn't just domestic. It was coming in from overseas, significant amounts tied to foreign criminal organizations operating across Latin America and Southeast Asia. Agents began building what's called a financial architecture map, tracing every dollar from its source to its destination. It took months, hundreds of subpoenas, thousands of pages of bank records, but patterns emerged, and patterns lead to people. At the center of the operation was a core group of approximately 17 individuals, American citizens, permanent residents, and foreign nationals, operating in coordinated layers. Layer 1, the collectors. These were the ground-level operatives, collecting bulk cash from illicit sources, breaking it into amounts under $10,000 to avoid federal reporting thresholds. This technique is called structuring, and it is a federal crime in itself. Layer 2, the processors. Shell companies received the structured deposits, moved funds between accounts across multiple states, and generated fraudulent invoices to justify the transfers. On paper, it looked like legitimate business activity: payroll, vendor payments, consulting fees. Layer 3, the integrators. This is where the operation became truly audacious. The cleaned money was funneled into luxury real estate, properties in Miami, Los Angeles, Houston, and the suburbs of New York City. High-end homes, multi-million-dollar assets that not only concealed the money's origins, but appreciated in value over time. One property in Coral Gables, Florida, purchased for $3.4 million in cash, had already increased in value by nearly $800,000 by the time federal agents arrived. These weren't amateurs. This was a professionally run financial crime enterprise, and it operated for nearly 4 years before federal law enforcement caught up with it. By late 2023, agents had enough to begin physical surveillance. Court-authorized wiretaps were activated. Financial monitoring expanded. Undercover operatives made contact with 2 members of the network under the guise of potential business partnerships. What they recorded was damning: conversations about moving product, a term the suspects used interchangeably for cash and contraband. Discussions about specific LLCs and which ones were clean enough to run larger transfers through. References to a central coordinator, referred to in intercepted communications only as the accountant. Federal prosecutors worked alongside agents to build a RICO case, the Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act, the same legal framework used to dismantle the American mafia. Under RICO, every member of the enterprise could be held criminally liable for the actions of the entire network. By early 2024, the case was ready. Federal warrants were drawn, target locations identified, 12 properties across 5 states placed under coordinated simultaneous raid planning. The operation was given a name: Operation Clean Ledger. 4:45 in the morning, 12 cities, dozens of federal agents in position. The signal went out simultaneously. In Miami, an FBI SWAT team breached a waterfront estate in under 30 seconds. The homeowner, a 44-year-old naturalized citizen with no prior criminal record, was detained in his bedroom before he could reach his phone. Agents immediately secured laptops, hard drives, phones, and a floor safe containing $340,000 in bundled cash. In Houston, HSI agents executed a search warrant on a property registered to one of the shell companies. Inside, a dedicated room. Not a bedroom, not an office. A room containing ledgers, handwritten, detailing transactions going back to 2020, in 3 different languages, allegedly providing legal cover for several of the LLCs. The attorney's paralegal Present at the time of the search in Los Angeles, a simultaneous warrant was served on a law firm whose principal attorney was reportedly fainted when agents entered the building. By 8 a.m., all 12 locations had been secured. 15 of the 17 targeted suspects were in federal custody. The other 2 had their passports flagged and were apprehended at border checkpoints within 72 hours. No shots fired, no injuries. Clean takedown. Federal prosecutors announced a sweeping indictment, 43 counts across the 17 defendants. Charges included conspiracy to commit money laundering, structuring financial transactions, wire fraud, and RICO conspiracy. The Department of Justice confirmed that approximately $120 million in illicit funds had moved through the network over a 4-year period. Of that, roughly $47 million had been invested in real estate, all of which is now subject to federal asset forfeiture. The 12 properties raided that morning, every single one of them will be seized by the federal government. Several defendants are also facing state-level charges in Florida and Texas. Legal analysts following the case suggest that with the RICO filing and the recorded evidence, the government's case is exceptionally strong. Multiple defendants are expected to cooperate in exchange for reduced sentences. The accountant, identified in court documents as a 51-year-old CPA operating out of the Miami metro area, faces the most severe exposure. If convicted on all counts, he is looking at a maximum sentence of over 200 years in federal prison. Money laundering at this scale doesn't happen overnight. It's built slowly, transaction by transaction, company by company, property by property. These networks count on complexity to hide in plain sight. What this case proves is that federal law enforcement, the FBI, HSI, IRS criminal investigation, and the DOJ have the tools, the patience, and the expertise to follow the money, no matter how many layers it's been buried under. Justice doesn't always move fast, but in America, it moves eventually. If this case had you locked in from the start, give this video a thumbs up. It genuinely helps this channel reach more people who want to stay informed about real federal investigations happening across this country. And if you haven't subscribed yet, do it now. New federal cases, real raid stories, real consequences, every single week. Drop a comment below. Do you think financial crimes like this deserve harsher mandatory minimum sentences? Let's hear it. Until next time, stay sharp, stay informed.